Tantor Audio, a division of Recorded Books, presents A Glorious and Devilish Expanse, Witches of the Island, by Katie McGarry, narrated by Heather Costa and Tyler Darby. Prologue. God is silent. Spray painted in red on the wall of a dilapidated abandoned building, the words hit Nessa Macalee's hard. There was nothing fancy about the graffiti. No artistic expression, just furious, jagged strokes belonging to one more lost human in an angry world. Underneath, in smaller writing, was a question she had asked herself too many times over the last few years. Is God dead? For too long, the Creator had been silent. Over the years, Nessa had been called to the Druid Stone, but instead of the communion she once experienced with the Creator, she now felt disconnection. She hated the empty feeling, but what she hated more was relying upon the Archangel Michael for directions. Why could Michael hear the Creator and she couldn't? It didn't make any sense. What if Michael were lying about being able to hear to the Creator to cover what so many humans were lost in wondering? Did a silent Creator mean a dead God? It was nearing 3 a.m., the devil's hour. There was a heaviness in the air, the scent of oncoming rain. Moisture gathered into swirling clouds. A violent downburst of wind from the approaching storm roared through the empty street, and the few towering trees that remained in the decayed urban neighborhood swayed. Their leaves clapped together in ominous applause. Bolts of lightning flashed across the sky. Individual streams of electricity branching out like bony fingers in the black clouds. In the distance, tornado sirens began to wail. Nessa wore black, and her fingers itched to call her sword. She felt weak, exposed, especially having lost her fighting arm in the battle with Moloch. While she was a sure fighter with her other arm, she didn't like the vulnerability. Broken glass crunched under her booted feet as she crossed the pothole-infested street to the overgrown wild rose bushes sprawling across the empty lot. There were pink roses, white, orange, and yellow, but her favorite was red. She touched the blooms of the nearest red rose, felt the silky petals against the pads of her fingers, wary of the remarkably thick, keenly sharp thorns growing along the vine. Understanding what she was doing, who she was calling upon, she deeply breathed in the sweet scent of the rose. To experience something so beautiful had a cost. That was the way life worked for her. For every high, there was a low. For every life, there was a death. For her son to enter heaven, she must be damned to hell. There wasn't a soul in sight, but Nessa felt the devil approach from the spiritual realm, heard his heavy footsteps clomp closer, until his breath blew across the back of her neck. "My beautiful, beautiful Nessa," a raspy voice whispered into her ear. So close it was the intimacy of lovers. "A rose in the garden of thorns." The hair on her neck stood on end, a tickle of acknowledgement that he was so close, so near. "You're late," Nessa spat with contempt. The demon's energy moved around her as if she were a great stone he couldn't pass through. And then the caress of a powerful and calloused hand skimmed along her cheek. The touch was as cold as ice. She shivered straight to her core, and an old fiery passion rose from the dead. To steal a touch of this angelic face, one would die 1,000 deaths. For my beautiful, beautiful Nessa, my rose in the garden of thorns. She raised her chin as her body quaked with desire. He was the king of lust, a powerhouse of sexuality, and her need for him was like a gravitational pulse that grew stronger with every second. There was a time she allowed herself to give in to that pulse, when she allowed that lust to wrap around her body and consume her to the point that she had forgotten her own name. "I have no time for your games." Beelzebub shimmered into physical form. He was glorious, a king of beauty and masculinity, a titan, if one were still to exist. A strong, chiseled jaw, a long mane of golden hair that made him look like a lion in stalk of prey. And he was hard muscle from head to toe. He had on no battle armor, only pants and boots, leaving his sculpted muscles on display.
Once upon a time you enjoyed my games. More than enjoyed. You craved them as an addict, and I was eager to please. Tell me, do you still think of those nights? When you're alone, and I know how alone you truly are in that marriage bed of yours. Do you dream of me?
The demon prince hadn't aged since the first time she came across him. She as a rebellious 18-year-old who had been forced into her marriage with Finvara. But Nessa had aged. She wasn't even 50, yet her soul felt as ancient as the deity who had created them all. I ceased dreaming long ago. She couldn't help but track the seductive tilt of his lips, and his savage smile grew as he noticed her admiring stares. He reached out. She didn't stop him, and his fingers traced her bottom lip. Her heart stuttered.
You dream, beautiful, beautiful Nessa, and you dream of me.
His touch was ice and fire, and his stare alone woke parts of her that had been asleep for too long. A brute sexuality that had gone dormant after she had forced herself to stop falling into his bed was now stretching sleepy muscles and glancing around at this newfound light of day.
Have you returned to me to share what time is left before the end? Now that you realize that I was right, and that God was only using you as a placeholder until the rightful heir of the Fae throne came along. The Creator may not need you, but I do, beautiful, beautiful Nessa. You have a place with me.
Caught up in remembering what it had been like to not be so alone, to be ravished in passion, to be wanted, she remained quiet.
Oh, my beautiful, beautiful Nessa. How you still try to freeze me out with your pride. Lower your walls. Allow yourself the pleasure of my bed again. It has been empty without you.
I hear your bed is full. You even imprisoned a she-warrior over the loss of a lover. His eyes laughed.
Jealousy suits you well, ruler of the she and of the Fae Council. As you remember, my appetite is—
He paused as if searching for the right word.
Voracious. After sharing my bed with you, it was difficult to find anyone who could—
His eyebrows raised.
Keep up. Can you forgive me my anger? For in her I have found someone who could perform almost as well as you. And then I lost them. Plus, your warriors were putting down too many of my soldiers. They needed a lesson. And if you remember correctly, I enjoy teaching.
She did remember. His lessons were emotionally brutal, but his touch made her body sing. His gaze lingered along her face, then skimmed her body. He frowned at the sight of her missing arm.
What is this?
A battle wound. He leaned closer, and she braced for what she knew was coming. His head near the wound, and him scenting for the assailant. He started along her neck, his nose gliding along the skin that had not been touched intimately in nearly 30 years, since she had become pregnant with Orion. His hands took liberty then, a light touch along the curve of her waist. Her breasts became heavy and ached with need. Memories filled her mind of how he used to lick and kiss her nipples as she writhed under him in ecstasy.
I sent a witch, the one I imprisoned.
Another deep breath in, and Beelzebub straightened. Anger flared from his eyes, and lightning crackled in the sky as the wind shook the decaying building next to them.
You have fought with Moloch?
Yes.
When? Where? And how did this happen? I am the one who taught you to fight. You are true in battle. Moloch is good, but you are better.
Moloch did this in a moment of weakness after my battle with the witch.
The witch is indeed powerful. She will be dangerous when she reaches her full potential.
The witch is my enemy, she stated simply. I want her found, and I want her dead. He guffawed.
Have you called me here like a dog to do your bidding?
He loomed over her, and she shook with the raw desire that rolled off of him.
If you remember, I am the one who gives the orders, and you are the one who obeys.
I am not in your bed any more. His expression gentled, if only for a heartbeat.
You should be. It's where you bloomed as the beautiful rose you are. Tell me, did you find your happiness in Fairy? Did you achieve that happily ever after you were so desperate to attain?
Each word was meant as a jab, and though the blows struck her deep, she kept her emotions contained. "I never wanted happiness."
"And what did you want, fair Nessa, that I could not give you?" "Power." "Marrying Finvara did not give you power. It made you his wife, and joined the two separate she-houses. That is a loss of power."
"Bearing his son after he was wounded by your blade made me the most powerful fae."
"That is why you belong with me, my Rose. Power, after all, seeks power."
She had no need for fruitless conversations. "The witch is my enemy, and she is your enemy too. We need to destroy her and the child she protects."
"The witch I will deal with, but the child—"
Beelzebub studied her, the curious way he used to when he was perched on his throne and she knelt at his feet. That puzzling time when neither understood the attraction they had for each other.
"That child is my queen."
She let loose a few jabs of her own. "A demon prince who needs a queen? Are you so afraid to lead that you desire someone above you? Look how the mighty Beelzebub has fallen. You once were the master of your kingdom, bent on becoming the sole ruler of hell and earth. One infant is born and you become her footstool? Someone who grovels at the feet of another? I thought you freed yourself from heaven so you would never be a drudge again." With a sarcastic tilt of her head, she tisked and leaned into him for effect. "I guess you aren't who I thought you were. It appears you are as weak as your brothers." His movements were a blur. He grabbed her chin, squeezing to gain her attention.
"If you were anyone else, you would be dead."
Though she felt pain, she gave him a bitter smile. "I have never been scared of you." With a twitch of her hand, her dagger appeared, and Nessa jerked out of his hold as she sliced a warning along the skin of his arm. Bright red blood dripped from the wound, and he smiled down upon her with warm affection.
"There she is, my beautiful, beautiful bloodthirsty Rose."
He offered his bleeding arm to her.
"Is that why you're here? To get back what my brother has taken? One drink from me and you will once again become whole."
Her eyes were drawn to his blood, her heart reacting to what it would be like to taste him again. His offer was tempting, and her body answered with the surge of lust that ran red-hot in her veins. Unable to trust any words out of her mouth, Nessa remained silent. Unable to trust her body, she remained still. Sensing the battle inside her, Beelzebub chuckled, then licked the wound on his arm, healing it until the final few centimeters. He left that open, just a few drops of blood oozing, tempting her with what he could give to her, and also what she would lose.
"A blooming rose in a garden of thorns, lost to the universe but found in hell. Tell me, my beautiful angel, what is it that you really want? You ask for feudal deeds that you already know I have decreed. The witch and the queen dead are accomplished tasks that have yet to pass. You suggest these things to show an alliance with me, to try to deceive me into agreeing to what you have yet to ask. I love to play games with you, my ruthless fairy, but beware of how dangerous the game it is you introduce. If you remember, my claws are sharp."
Nessa steeled herself for the real reason she called upon the demon prince. "My son. His death was a mistake, and I need to bring him back. The blade, it was cursed with Nephilim blood, which meant the portal that would have opened to him upon his death was that of hell." Her mouth went dry and she swallowed hard. If there was any way to save her son from a fate in hell, Beelzebub would be her only hope, and he ate the hope of the faithful as snacks before going to battle. He crossed his arms over his chest.
"Are you asking if I killed your son?"
"No, because she had a hand in that, but the blame laid at the feet of the witch Orion claimed to love." Not letting it go, he said,
"I swore a covenant to you long ago that your son's death would not come from my hand."
"But you have an army at your disposal to do your dirty work, and you harmed my son plenty of times." He inclined his head in agreement.
"Maimed, not killed, and I would have allowed my army to kill Orion, but we did not have that honor. If the blade were cursed, as you say, upon entering hell, he would be chained to the lake of fire for several years. Considering how hated he is, there will be more than enough demons willing to hold him in that fire, while they themselves are tortured. He'll be roasting for at least a century." Are you looking for me to pass on a good word to him when I'm chained there again this year?"
Her eyes squeezed shut with the mere idea of Orion in agony for 1 second, much less for a century and then eternity. Dizziness set in, and the wave of grief was so powerful that her knees buckled. She swayed, a feather caught in the wind, and a strong hand on her arm kept her from falling.
"Oh, my beautiful, beautiful Rose. While those thorns that surround you are as sharp as jagged razor wire, your heart is as delicate as your petals. Why is it you never grieve for me when I am being tortured?"
"I grieve for you," she struggled out. He made a sound in his throat, a non-committal scoff.
"I'm not sure your heart is big enough to grieve more than one."
She wasn't sure it was either. Orion was her sole purpose for breathing, but she had shared something with this demon prince once. Love, lust, the need to not be alone. She didn't know, but whatever it was, it bonded them in an unusual way.
"I'm here with you now, aren't I? For your son.
Who do you think planted each of these rose bushes? One for every Hallows Eve I missed with you. Count them, Beelzebub. See how I have grieved for you." She knew he didn't need to count the bushes, as his severe gaze never left her own. Each time she had visited this place to plant another bush, digging into the dirt, using her own hands, her fingers as claws into the tough ground, making sure she pricked her fingers on the thorns so that her blood would drip upon the dirt. She felt him there with her, watching, waiting to see if she would ask for his presence. Because that was what he had wanted, her to beg, for her to admit she had been wrong to leave him. He continued to glare at her for several long beats. His fingers tightened on her arm, squeezing to the point of pain, and then he pushed her away.
"Your son is not chained to the lake of fire. He has refused the portal to hell and is in purgatory."
Afraid to believe in hope, she stopped breathing. Nessa searched his emotionless face.
"If this is true, you can save him. Explain to me how it is I should do this."
"From what happened with Demetrius, it is obvious you have an agreement with death. I need death to reverse Orion's fate, which, if he is in purgatory, should be easier for death to do."
His eyes hardened. "For years, I watched you from afar, waiting for the day you would come back to me. Now that you're here, you have asked 3 things of me: to kill the witch, to kill my queen, and to bring your son back from the dead. Have I left anything out? As you well know, it is prudent to be careful of the details when making a covenant with me. I do not offer grace for your misgivings."
If she were heading to hell, then she would ask then for all that she longed for and desired. "I want Cassie Strega wiped from my son's memory. She's caused too much damage, and even the shadow of a memory of her will continue to poison him. They are bonded, though, and he made her his Amans. I can sever part of their link, but I'll need help to completely demolish it."
"Wiping all memories of an Amans may be impossible, but what we can't erase, we can alter to make him believe she betrayed him. And I need my queen alive."
Venom dripped from his tone.
"Once I take her power, she is yours to dispose of however you wish. Tell me now, my cruel Rose, if I were to save your son, the most feared Fey warrior, what is it that you're willing to do in return?"
For her son, Nessa straightened, raised her chin, and gave the absolute truth. "Anything." Victory danced in his eyes, and she didn't care. As long as her son lived, and that witch paid for ruining her family, she'd endure anything, including being chained in the lake of fire herself. Beelzebub grabbed her waist, violently drew her body to his, and then nuzzled his nose along her neck. How she hated him, how she equally missed him as well. He nipped at her skin, then whispered into her ear.
"You finally belong to me."
1. Cassie. Shockingly, Moloch, one of the 4 demon princes of hell, was not a perky and enthusiastic birthing partner. He was the exact opposite.
"I swear, witch, if you give birth right now, I will literally tear apart the fabric of time and space, destroying all that lives in heaven, earth, and hell."
I cradled my swollen belly, which was cramping with the contraction, and gave him a death glare as I breathed through what was more than likely Braxton Hicks. "That's it," I wheezed out. "I have this baby and game over? No one wins, we all die? When did you decide to be drama queen?"
"When you decided to drop a baby out of your body in the middle of the woods with only me to help."
The contraction intensified, my knees weakened, and I had to press my hand on the trunk of a nearby tree for balance. The rough bark scraped into my palm. 5 days. That was how long I'd been pregnant. As in conception until now. And I was measuring at about 30 weeks. 3 of those days I had spent unconscious in bed at my grandmother's cabin, after the battle in Ferry, and the bad shifting with Moloch when he rescued me from Nessa. All of it was insane. But nothing about my life had been logical since I became a witch toward the end of spring. Plus, what else was there to expect when carrying not only a half-witch, half-fae baby, but the future queen of the fae? A tiny hand came to rest upon my belly, and I glanced down to find Asteria, the queen of the damned, curiously studying my stomach. She had been born a few weeks ago and spent her time switching between being a newborn and a toddler. She morphed into whatever age, within that range, her little demon heart desired. Currently, she was a mature 3-year-old. Her ancient blue eyes bore into my stomach, as if she could see past the material of my too small shirt, past my skin, and to the baby forming within. She wore her favorite yellow sundress, with a duck embroidered on the front, and dangling from her left hand was a matching stuffed duck that squeaked whenever she cuddled it. Her long, curly, golden blonde hair blew about with the gentle summer breeze and glistened in the sun. She applied gentle pressure against my belly, and a bolt of electricity slammed through me as a tiny hand from inside my womb pushed back. The breeze picked up, collecting the petals of a nearby honeysuckle bush, and those petals created a whirlwind around me and Asteria. As we surveyed the area in wonder, I smiled as brilliant butterflies of royal blue, purple, and yellow joined in the playful wind and danced around us. Air, fire, water, earth, east, south, west, north. The words were whispered into my head, the voice as beautiful as the tinkling of a bell. Asteria met my eyes, letting me know she had been the one speaking. She then dropped her hand from my stomach. The butterflies flew away, and the wind died, allowing the petals to fall to the forest floor. The contraction eased, and I released a long breath as I straightened. Asteria gave me a smile full of knowledge, more of an "I know something you don't know," then turned her back to me to skip along the forest trail Moloch had taken her along several times a day since we had returned to my grandmother's cabin.
"Fire witch!"
Moloch shouted, as though doing so would make Wren hear him and she would magically appear.
"Come here, deal with—"
He waved his hand toward me in disgust.
"This!"
"Calm down. The baby isn't coming. Yet." He tossed his diamond cutter blue eyes in my direction.
"You told me to prepare to catch."
"I was joking."
"Joking?"
he bellowed.
"There's nothing amusing in this scenario."
Actually, I found it rather damn funny. "You're telling me you're as old as time and it's labor that freaks you out? Is this your kryptonite?" I couldn't help but smile at his displeasure. Seeing my amusement, the demon prince angrily raked his hand through his mop of short, yet grown-out blonde hair, growled, and stalked away to follow Asteria.
"You aren't allowed to walk with us anymore."
Stretching after the strong contraction, I slowly ambled after them. "Oh, don't be like that. It's either laugh or cry." He kept his back to me as he helped Asteria over a fallen log. She placed her much smaller hand in his massive one, trusting him so easily, as if he weren't the reason so many were being tormented in hell.
"I have no need for emotion."
Moloch made that type of statement often, but it was clear he would do anything for Asteria. A devotion that bloomed from those powerful emotions he denied he possessed. Asteria skipped into a field of wildflowers and danced with the butterflies that had just joined us. Weird how after her birth, no living thing would tread closely, and now insects and birds were coming near us again. The baby within me shifted, and her kicks gave me an equal sense of elation and terror. I rubbed my hand over her newly positioned head. She'd been moving most of the day, going from head up toward head down, readying herself for labor. I guess this was what happened when pregnancy was rushed into days instead of months. "She's going to come soon," I said quietly, solemnly. Moloch watched Asteria, his shoulders back, hands at the ready, as if he were about to draw a gun in a duel. He was always on guard, which I understood. The last time he, Ren, Asteria, and I were holed up here, we had been found by Beelzebub, and everything went to hell. Literally.
"I know,"
he said with the same seriousness.
"Her birth will be a catalyst for a great change, and I don't know how to properly protect my queen through what is to come."
"Do you want me to talk to Asteria? See if she will leave with you? Without me?" His eyebrows rose.
"You would be separated from her?"
"I don't want to be, but I share the same fears you do. I don't want any harm to come to her either, especially because of me." Moloch studied me thoughtfully before returning to his ever-consistent vigil over Asteria.
"From the moment we were brought back to this wretched place, even before I was aware you were with child, Asteria has been obsessed with the child in your womb, placing her hands over your stomach as if she were caring for the child herself. It is clear to me she has bonded with your offspring. I believe their fates, whether I want it or not, are intertwined."
A few beats passed, and Moloch said,
"Asteria speaks to your child, and from the energy radiating from within you, the child speaks back. They are communicating with one another."
Shock rang through me, causing a dizzy spell, and I breathed out slowly to steady myself. "Do you know what they're saying?" He eyed me warily.
"Being the empath, I was hoping you would tell me."
I shook my head, as I had no idea they were even talking to one another.
"We need to leave here," Moloch said. "We have too many enemies hunting us."
Not only did we have Moloch's 3 other demon prince brothers, Beelzebub, Belial, and Mammon, trying to track us down. I had been declared an enemy of the Fae, and they were out for my head on a platter. At one point it was supposed to be me, Orion, the witches, and the rest of the Fae against the forces of evil for the earth. Now it was me, Ren, Moloch, and these 2 children against absolutely everyone. Whoever had possession of these children held the fate of the earth in their hands. The demon princes wanted either to turn the earth into a living hell or destroy it. The Fae, in theory, wanted to protect the earth, but were now, it seemed, determined to kill the witches. Deep in my soul, I felt a war coming, but the problem was, how could this small ragtag team survive? "Maybe this time we'll be safe here."
"While there is no link for a demon to trace between you and your Fae, eventually my brothers will search this area for you and the Queen, since you were found here before."
My stomach dropped at the mention of the broken link between me and Orion. Technically, he was dead. His mother had killed him while attempting to murder me. But instead of heading straight to hell, because of the poison that was on the blade, he was using all of his energy to stay in purgatory, in the hopes of returning to me. The last time I had seen him on the dream plane, I had promised to rescue him, but I had no idea that I would be carrying the world's shortest pregnancy. Everything about me was changing so rapidly that I had no time to figure out how to save Orion. "Where do you suggest we go?" It wasn't as though we were swimming in options. He gave me a side eye that let me know I wasn't going to like his answer.
"I can protect you, Asteria, and your child in my kingdom. I am not going to give birth to my child in hell. Outskirts of hell. You cannot enter hell as you are neither physically dead, nor have you promised your soul to the demons."
"Fine. I will not give birth to my child in the outskirts of hell. Better?"
"You're being unreasonable."
"Unreasonable? You don't think your army of demons is going to have something to say about your harboring the Amans of Orion Macales? The same woman who is carrying his child. The same child who will be the queen of the Fae? I'm willing to bet what's left in my savings account that I'll be dead within minutes."
"My army is mine to command. They do whatever I say, and I will tell them that no harm is to come to you or your child."
I snorted in disbelief. "You think you're above a mutiny?"
"Mutiny requires free will. Free will requires freedom. The damned have no such privilege. They gave their soul to me, and I own their free will. They must do what I say."
Whatever good humor I had evaporated, and nausea sloshed in my stomach.
"You're kidding." "No," he said simply. "I'm not."
Being chained to the Lake of Fire once a year.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?